I was leaning over at the printer to grab my documents. Suddenly, a male coworker's voice drifted from behind. Me. Ivy, doesn't your back get tired from sticking your ass out like that every single day? I froze, not quite processing what he meant. At first, his tone was full of contempt, but his eyes were glued to my backside. Look, I have a girlfriend. You should save those seduction tactics for the clients, not me. A burst of laughter erupted from the desks nearby. No wonder she's the top producer. I bet those contracts were signed in a bedroom, not a boardroom. Must be nice being a woman. Just arch your back a little and you get the million-dollar deals. The laughter grew louder, grating against my ears. I didn't explain. I didn't even get angry. I just took the performance report I had just printed and walked straight into the CEO's office. I am a designer. I need to go fix my anterior pelvic tilt. Clayton Miller looked at me in pure shock. Ivy Grayson, you're carrying 70% of this company's revenue. Our biggest clients only want to talk to you. If you leave, the sales department will collapse. I don't accept this. I turned and caught my reflection in the glass door. Because of my anterior pelvic tilt, my lower back arched inward, making my glutes look unnaturally pushed out. First, the doctor said it wasn't serious and to just watch my posture. But after years of running around to meet clients and working long hours, the condition had worsened. Now, the chronic back pain woke me up every single night. To the rest of the world, my agony was nothing more than a thirst trap. Then, I'll take a leave of absence. Just want to fix my spine. Clayton frowned, his voice dripping with impatience. Ivy, since when did you become so dramatic? The company gave you the platform and the resources to become the top producer. Now you're just going to drop everything. Have you even considered the company's future? I shook my head slowly. I've brought in more than enough revenue. I owe this company nothing. He sighed heavily and waved his hand like he was shooing away a fly, signaling for me to leave. Didn't say another word. I turned and walked back to my desk. As soon as I sat down, Jace Vance shouted across the room, "Oh, couldn't get a rise out of me. So now you're trying to seduce the boss." Every head in the office turned toward me. I stood my ground and spoke clearly. I have anterior pelvic tilt. My posture is a medical symptom, not an invitation. Please stop harassing me about my physical disability. Jace looked me up and down with a sneer. Oh, please. The tilt doesn't look like that. You clearly went and got a Brazilian butt lift. I didn't realize you were so desperate for my attention that you'd go under the knife. I was shaking with rage. If you say one more word, I'm suing you for defamation. Jace leaned back in his chair, a smug grin plastered on his face. What? You failed to tempt me. So, now you're playing the victim? Think carefully. My uncle is the majority shareholder of this company. If you sue me, you'll never work in this industry again. Across the aisle, Milo West flashed a row of yellow teeth at me. Nice try, Ivy. We all know you've got your eye on Jace because he's loaded. Too bad. He's got high standards. You should probably stick to your clients if you want to keep your numbers up. The rest of the office joined in the chatter. I knew something was off. Nobody stands like that naturally. So, she was doing it for Jace all along. That makes so much sense. Quiet down. What if she actually calls the cops? Jace has protection, but we don't. Who cares? We're just telling the truth. She walks around with her tail wagging, hoping Jace will make her his trophy wife. Listening to them made my heart go cold. When Jace first started, he didn't know a thing about our products. I spent weeks of my lunch breaks training him and helped him close his first deal. When Milo's father was in the hospital, I covered his night shifts for a week so he wouldn't lose his commission. And then there was Sienna Moore, the one whispering the loudest. Last year, she was short on her quota. I handed over one of my own deals to her, just so she wouldn't get fired. And this was how they repaid me with baseless, disgusting slander. The talking eventually died down, but it was replaced by weird looks and muffled giggles. I opened our company group chat. Jace had just posted a photo of me from behind, taken while I was at the printer. Look, she's doing it again. At Ivy Grayson, please have some self-respect. I've told you I have a girlfriend. Stop trying so hard. I didn't argue. I simply took a screenshot and saved it. Clayton's message was a vague slap on the wrist. Everyone needs to watch their language, respect your female colleagues, and stop the inappropriate joke. Then he messaged me privately. Ivy, I know why you want to leave. Is it because Jace is being a loudmouth? Look, he's Mr. Lowry's nephew. My hands are tied. How about this? I'll give you a 20% raise, promote you to sales director, and give you a private office. Just don't quit. I'll give you almost anything you want. I ignored the offer and sent over my formal resignation. Please process this as soon as possible. Thank you. The other side was silent for a long time. Finally, he replied, "You're going to regret this." I let out a long breath, staring at the screen. I stood up to go get some water from the break room. Jace happened to be walking by and let out a dramatic sigh. Ivy, enough is enough. I glared at him. Jace, I am literally just walking to the water cooler. I haven't even looked at you. Jace held up his hands in a defensive gesture, a smirk on his face. I go to the cooler, you go to the cooler. I go to the printer. You're right there. Every time I pass you, you're either bending over or arching your back. That's not a thirst trap. I don't know what is. Milo chimed in with a giggle. Give her a break, Jace. You're just too charming. Even our top producer can't help but show off for you. Sienna popped her head up from her cubicle, pointing her phone at us. She started snapping photos and dumping them into the group chat. She even drew red arrows, pointing at my waist and hips. At Ivy Grayson, this pose is definitely professional level. Poor Jace is being backed into a wall. He practically has to hold his hands up to prove his innocence. My heart goes out to him. Replies flooded in instantly. Ivy, go harass the clients for deals, but leave Jace alone. He's loyal to his girl. No matter how much you arch, you're not breaking them up. Lay off her, guys. She's the sales queen. Results are all that matter. Who cares about the posture? It must be hard for her though, keeping that arch all day. Her lower back must be screaming. Clayton posted another warning in the chat. The office is for work. Watch your behavior. At Ivy Grayson, please be mindful of your image to avoid causing discomfort to your colleagues. Jace looked at me triumphantly. Even the boss is tired of your show. Maybe it's time to tuck it in. The office erupted in laughter. Again, I pulled out my phone, dialed 911, and looked around the room. Hello. I'd like to report an incident. I'm being subjected to ongoing harassment, defamation, and a hostile work environment by multiple colleagues. I have digital evidence and screenshots. I need officers to come and document this. Immediately, the laughter died. Instantly, I saw several people frantically tapping on their computers and phones trying to delete their messages in the group chat, but they were too late. The time limit for unsending had passed. Milo slammed his mouse down in frustration and yelled at me. Ivy, it was just a joke. Is it really worth calling the cops? Cancel the call before they get here. If this reaches the big bosses, you'll lose your job. Other colleagues started chiming in. Their voices panicked. Exactly. You're the one walking around like that. Don't you have any shame? Seeing the support, Jace regained his confidence. He opened the group chat and used two fingers to zoom in on the photo of my backside, shoving it in my face. Ivy, everyone here saw you trying to entice me. The security cameras will prove it. 2. Don't embarrass yourself when the cops get here. You're the one who's going to look crazy. Sienna let out a nasty little giggle. Oh, I get it now. Ivy, is this your new strategy? If you can't get Jace to date you, you'll get the police to force him to take responsibility for you. A collective gasp went around the room. Wow, top producer indeed. She's playing 4D chess. That's sick. Using the police as part of her twisted roleplay. I kept my voice calm and steady. I will say this one last time. I have a medical condition. I am not trying to attract anyone unless every single one of you offers a sincere apology. Right now, I am not canceling that call. Clayton came rushing out of his office, pointing a finger at my face. Ivy Grayson, we handle things internally. Do not bring the police into my office. I found it hilarious. Pulled up my chat with him. Boss, you said it yourself. Jace is protected. You can't handle it internally. So, I'm seeking external help. Clayton's eyes widened, his breath hitching as he tried to find a way out. After a moment, he lowered his voice, shifting from anger to a desperate, threatening plea. Ivy, I'm saying this for your own good. Cancel the call. You might feel powerful now, but you're destroying your career. What company is going to hire someone who calls the cops on their coworkers over a joke? Annoyed by Clayton's soft tone. Let her, boss. Everyone will testify that she was the one being inappropriate. She's the only one who's going to be humiliated. I looked down at the evidence on my phone and smiled. Inwardly, they think they're safe. They're about to find out how expensive their mouths are. 2 officers arrived shortly after. I stepped forward and handed them my phone with the screenshots ready. The officers' brows furrowed as they read through the derogatory comments and viewed the zoomed-in photos. Jace stepped up, still acting tough. Officers, you have to see this. Look at the way she's standing. Isn't it obvious what she's doing? Every time I walk by, she arches her back. It's intentional. The others joined in. Look at this photo. Look at the angle of her waist. No normal person stands like that. Okay, maybe we said some mean things, but look at what she's doing. Isn't she the problem? She's trying to frame us. You should be taking her away. They were all tripping over themselves to shift the blame. I calmly reached into my desk drawer and pulled out a recent medical report. This is my official diagnosis. I have severe anterior pelvic tilt. These people have been publicly twisting my physical pain into a sexual come on. This has caused me extreme emotional distress and damage to my reputation. I want them to apologize publicly. The atmosphere turned icy as the evidence was presented. The officers finished reviewing the documents and were about to speak. Suddenly, the office door swung open. A woman in 6 inches heels stormed in, walked straight up to me, and slapped me across the face. You pathetic brat. That's not pelvic tilt. You're just trying to steal my boyfriend. The female officer shouted. Hey, stop that. The woman rolled her eyes and pulled an ID card from her pocket, flashing it at the officer. An orthopedic surgeon. I can tell you right now, her condition wouldn't cause that kind of angle. She's clearly arching her back to tempt my boyfriend. And when he turned her down, she called you guys to threaten him. Jace quickly moved to her side, wrapping an arm around her waist. He looked at me with pure triumph. Ivy, look at her. My girlfriend is young, beautiful, and a real professional. You're just a girl who uses her body to close sales. Apologize to us, and maybe we'll let this go. Someone in the crowd cheered. Go get her, Lydia. Lydia's posture is perfect, unlike some people who look like they're trying to snap their own spines. No wonder Jace is obsessed with her. Lydia, thank God you're here. We've been telling her the truth all day. Clayton crossed his arms, leaning against a desk. Well, Ivy, now a real doctor is saying you don't have a condition. You're just posing. What do you have to say for yourself? Apologize now and I might be able to save your job. I didn't feel like wasting words. I stepped forward and slapped the woman right back. Lydia gasped, clutching her cheek as her eyes went wide. You crazy, the police are right here. How dare you? I took the ID card from the officer's hand, examined it, and let out a cold laugh. Lydia Thorne, I thought you looked familiar. I've seen you all over the internet. There are dozens of threads about you and your clinic. You're a hack, right? Do you have to diagnose anyone? Lydia's voice shook. You're lying. I handed the ID back to the officer. If you don't believe me, just search her name and her clinic. There are endless complaints. She's not a surgeon at a top hospital. She's a fake, working out of a basement clinic. If the real hospital finds out she's using their name, she's going to jail. Lydia's face went pale. She tried to stammer out a defense. You're making things up. The officer did a quick check on their tablet. Actually, we've confirmed that Ms. Grayson's medical report is valid, and from a reputable facility. Her posture is a documented result of years of occupational strain. As for you, MS Thorne, it seems you don't actually hold a valid medical license. We'll be looking into you and your clinic for fraud. The officer paused, looking at Jace and the other coworker. You all are being cited for harassment. This is a formal warning. If this continues, we will be making arrests. The smug faces from moments ago now looks like wilted lettuce. Ivy, we're sorry. We didn't. No. As soon as the police left, their faces shifted back to resentment. They glared at me, but nobody dared to speak. Except for Jace. He couldn't let it go. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Right in front of me, Uncle Ivy Grayson is using some fake medical excuse to cover up the fact that she's been harassing me. She even called the cops to bite back. I want the most expensive lawyer. I want to sue her for emotional distress. I want her blacklisted from the industry. He hung up and smirked at me. Ivy, you're not the only one who knows how to use the law. You think the cops are a big deal? Wait until you get served with a lawsuit. Suddenly, a sharp stabbing pain flared in my lower back. I had to lean against a desk to catch my breath. Lydia shrieked as if she'd seen a ghost. Look, she's doing it again. She's arching for Jace right now. Ivy, no matter how much you shake it, Jace isn't dropping the charges. The coworkers started taking pictures. Again, we've got your back, Jace. Take her to court and clear our names. I gritted my teeth and looked at Clayton. I'm taking my leave of absence now. Clayton sneered and pulled up his laptop. He clicked a few times. Actually, I just approved your resignation. A woman with no morals has no place in this company. Just as he said that, his phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and turned white. He answered immediately, bowing to the empty air. When he hung up, he looked at me with pure hatred. Miss Sterling is leaving for an international trip tonight. She refuses to sign the $20 deal with anyone but you. The silence in the office was so absolute you could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights. Clayton's phone hung limply in his hand. The color had entirely drained from his face, leaving his skin a sickly, mottled gray. His eyes darted from the laptop screen, where my resignation was now formally recorded in the HR system, to me, standing by the desk with my hand pressed against my lower back, trying to breathe through the latest spasm of pain. Ivy, Clayton started, his voice cracking. He cleared his throat and tried to paste on a smile that looked more like a grimace. Listen, let's not be hasty. The system, it was just a glitch. I didn't actually approve it. I just watched you click it, I said, my voice eerily calm despite the fire radiating down my spine. You said, a woman with no morals has no place in this company. I completely agree, which is why I'm leaving. Jace slammed his hand on his desk, breaking the silence. Oh, please let her go. Clayton, who does she think she is? Miss Sterling is just a client. If Ivy's gone, someone Else we'll take the account. I'll take the account. He puffed out his chest, glancing around at the remaining sycophants in the room. I'm a Vance. My uncle owns this place. You think an old lady with a checkbook cares who hands her the pen. Clayton looked at Jace as if you were looking at a walking corpse. Jace, you idiot, he hissed, abandoning all pretense of management. Evelyn, Sterling doesn't care about your uncle. She built a real estate empire from the ground up. She only works with Ivy because Ivy spent 3 months analyzing her overseas portfolio to save her $5 million in taxes last year. Do you even know what an offshore tax deferral is? Jace's smug expression faltered, his mouth opening and closing like a stranded fish. Clayton turned back to me, taking a step forward. His hands were clasped together in a pleading gesture. Ivy, I will double the raise. 40% immediate promotion. You keep the Sterling account and I'll personally discipline anyone who says another word about your medical condition. 30 seconds ago, you called it a fake excuse to sexually harass your employees. I reminded him, grabbing my purse and the small box of personal items I had packed earlier in the week. When I first considered leaving, Ivy, please, she leaves for London tonight. The contract is sitting on her desk at the Waldorf. If we don't get her signature by 8 p.m., the deal falls through and our quarterly projections are ruined. The board will have my head. That sounds like a management problem, I said, hoisting my box. And I am officially unemployed. You walk out that door, and I'll make sure you don't get a dime of your pending commissions. Clayton yelled, his desperation morphing back into toxic rage. You hear me? You'll be blacklisted. Put it in writing. I called over my shoulder without breaking stride. My lawyer will need it for the hostile work environment suit. I walked out of the glass doors, leaving behind the suffocating air of that office. As the elevator doors closed, I caught a glimpse of Jace furiously dialing his phone, Lydia looking confused and terrified, and Clayton pulling at his own hair. For the first time in 3 years, I felt a genuine smile touch my face. Then my back throbbed viciously, a harsh reminder that my victory was only the beginning of a long road. My first stop wasn't home, but to Dr. Eris Thorne, a real orthopedic specialist at Mount Sinai. By the time I finished the MRI and consultation, it was nearing 6 p.m. The tilt is severe, Ivy, Dr. Thorne said, pointing at the curvature on the screen. Your lumbar spine is under immense compression, but there is good news. No herniation yet. With intensive physical therapy, targeted strength training, and strict ergonomic boundaries, you can correct this without surgery, but it requires rest. Real rest. I have plenty of time for that now, I murmured, staring at the stark white bones on. They looked so fragile. I had almost destroyed my own body just to line the pockets of a company that treated my pain as a punchline. As I walked out of the clinic, my phone buzzed. It was an unknown number, but the area code was familiar. I answered. Ivy Grayson? Evelyn Sterling. The crisp, authoritative voice came through the speaker. I just had the profound displeasure of meeting a man named Jace Vance and his sweaty, stammering fellow named Clayton in my hotel lobby. I couldn't help but chuckle. I apologize. You had to endure that, Ms. Sterling. They brought me a contract. Evelyn continued, her tone dripping with aristocratic disdain. When I asked where you were, the young one, Jace, I believe, told me you'd been terminated for inappropriate workplace behavior and offered to take me to dinner to smooth things over. I told my security to escort them onto the street. They're desperate. The quarterly revenue relies on your deal. My dear, Evelyn said softly, I don't sign $20 million contracts with boys who wear too much cologne and managers who sweat through their suits. I sign them with you. So, tell me the truth. Why did you leave? I paused, leaning against the cold brick Wall of the hospital exterior. I respected Evelyn too much to lie. I gave her the short, unvarnished version. The medical condition, the harassment, the gaslighting, and the final straw. There was a long silence on the line. I thought perhaps I had been too candid. Then Evelyn spoke, her voice laced with cold fury. I built my first company in the 1980s, Ivy. Do you know how many mediocre men tried to reduce my brain to my body? How many tried to steal my credit? I can only imagine. You don't have to imagine. You just lived it. I heard the rustle of papers. I'm not signing this contract with them. In fact, I'm pulling my entire portfolio. But I still need this deal managed. I have a proposal for you. Come to the Waldorf. We have an hour before I leave for Heathrow. The Waldorf Astoria suite was immaculate. Evelyn sat across from me, sipping Earl Grey tea. Start your own firm, she said bluntly. You have the contacts, you have the intellect, and clearly you have the spine, even if it needs a bit of physical therapy right now. I have a non-compete clause, I admitted, though my mind was already racing with the possibilities. Evelyn waved her hand dismissively. Non-competes are rarely enforceable, especially when the employee was forced out due to a documented hostile work environment and sexual harassment. Sue them to void it. In the meantime, I will hire you as an independent financial consultant. My lawyers will draft it so cleanly that Clayton's legal team won't be able to touch it. She slid a sleek folder across the table. My retainer. It's enough to cover your physical therapy, your legal fees, and your living expenses for the next 2 years. In exchange, you manage my assets exclusively until your new firm is off the ground. Then we expand. I looked at the number on the paper. It wasn't just generous. It was life-changing. It was the exact value of what I had brought to my former company, finally being handed to me directly. I won't let you down, Evelyn. I know you won't. Now go hire a vicious lawyer. The kind that makes men like Clayton cry. I didn't just hire a vicious lawyer. I hired Diane Roth, a woman who had built her career terrorizing toxic corporate boards. A week later, I was deep into my physical therapy routine. For the first time in years, I was sleeping through the night without waking up in agony. I was doing my morning stretches when Diane called me. The bombs have been dropped, Diane announced, sounding entirely too cheerful for 9 a.m. We just served the company with a massive lawsuit. Constructive dismissal, hostile work environment, sexual harassment, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. We also served Jace individually for defamation and a separate suit against Lydia Thorne. How bad is it for them? Oh, it's beautiful. Diane purred. I attached the group chat screenshots as Exhibit A. It's ironclad. The police report you filed on your last day establishes a documented timeline. But here's the best part. Remember when Jace threatened you, saying his uncle was the majority shareholder? Yes. Well, Mr. Lowry was blissfully unaware of what his idiot nephew was doing until an hour ago, when my courier handed him a lawsuit demanding $10 million in damages alongside a quarterly report showing the company's revenue has plummeted 70% because you left and took Evelyn Sterling with you. I smiled, easing out of my stretch. I wish I could be a fly on the wall in that office today, as told from the perspective of the office, later pieced together from depositions. The morning the papers arrived, the sales floor was already in a state of panic. Without my leads and my finalized contracts, Milo and Sienna were failing spectacularly. Clients were pulling out, sensing this sudden lack of competence. Jace was sitting at his desk, loudly complaining to Sienna about how unfair it was that his uncle had frozen his company credit card when the glass doors to the office shattered the usual hum of anxiety. Arthur Lowry walked in. He was a man in his late 60s, built like a bulldog with eyes that could freeze water. Behind him flanked 2 corporate lawyers and HR. Clayton practically sprinted out of his office, his face slick with sweat. Mr. Lowry, we weren't expecting. Shut up, Clayton, Arthur barked, his voice echoing across the silent floor. He walked straight to Jace's desk. Jace stood up, putting on his usual arrogant smirk. Uncle Arthur, good to see you. Listen about my card. Arthur didn't say a word. He simply raised his hand and slapped Jace across the face. The smack was so loud Sienna dropped her coffee mug, shattering it on the carpet. You stupid, arrogant, spoiled little brat. Arthur hissed, his voice vibrating with rage. He threw a thick stack of legal documents onto Jace's keyboard. Do you know what this is? This is a lawsuit that is going to cost my company millions of dollars. Do you know why? Because you couldn't keep your mouth shut and your eyes front. Jace rubbed his red cheek, looking genuinely terrified. Uncle, it's fake. Ivy is a liar. She's just mad I rejected her. She was always arching her back, trying to seduce me. Arthur snapped his fingers, and one of his lawyers handed him a printed sheet of paper. I have read the group chat logs, Jace. I have seen the photos you and these other idiots took of a woman while she was trying to print her work. Work, by the way, that paid your salary. Arthur turned to face the rest of the floor. Milo shrunk down in his chair. Sienna looked like she wanted to melt into the floorboards. Ivy Grayson carried this company. Arthur roared. She brought in Evelyn Sterling, and because of your little frat house bullying Evelyn, Sterling pulled a $20 million deal. For other major clients have followed her out the door this week. You didn't just harass a colleague. You financially crippled my investment. Arthur turned his wrath on Clayton. And you are the CEO. You enabled this. You allowed a woman with a documented medical disability to be mocked, and then you approved her resignation. I was trying to manage the situation internally. Clayton stammered. Jay said, You're fired, Clayton. Arthur said coldly, Pack your office. You're gone. Clayton's knees gave out, and he had to lean against the glass wall to stay upright. As for you, Jace, Arthur sneered, looking at his nephew with pure disgust. You're fired too, and don't think I'm paying for your lawyer in this civil suit. You're cut off. You'll defend yourself, and when she bankrupts you can go work at a gas station. For all I care. Jace's arrogant facade finally crumbled. Uncle, please. You can't do this. Lydia will leave me if I'm broke. Speaking of your charming girlfriend, Arthur said, adjusting his cuffs. Did you see the morning news? Her clinic got raided by the state medical board yesterday. Turns out practicing medicine without a license is a felony. She's currently sitting in a holding cell. The office was dead silent, save for the sound of Clayton's ragged breathing and Jace's quiet sobbing. Arthur looked at Milo and Sienna. HR will be interviewing every single one of you today. Anyone who participated in this harassment is terminated with cause. No severance. Good luck getting unemployment. 6 months later, I adjusted the collar of my blazer, checking my reflection in the mirror of my new office. The plaque on the door read Grayson Wealth Management. The space was bright, airy, and most importantly, I had personally picked out every single ergonomic chair in the building. When I stood up, my posture was noticeably different. The severe arch in my lower back had softened. It wasn't perfect yet. Years of damage couldn't be undone in 6 months, but the chronic, agonizing pain was gone. I no longer looked like I was sticking it out. I just looked like me, healthy, strong, and pain-free. My assistant, a sharp young woman named Clara, knocked on the open door. Ivy, Diane is online. 1. She says it's regarding the settlement. I walked over to my desk and picked up the phone. Tell me the good news, Diane. They caved, Diane said, practically singing. Arthur. Lowry's board voted to settle rather than go to trial. 7 figures, Ivy plus a full public retraction and an NDA mutually barring them from disparaging you, voiding your non-compete entirely. And Jace is entirely bankrupt. He tried to fight the defamation suit, but without his uncle's money, he ended up representing himself. It went about as well as you'd expect. He's currently working at a mid-tier car rental agency. Oh, and Lydia cut a plea deal. 3 years probation, massive fines, and she's permanently barred from anything adjacent to the medical field. I looked out the window at the bustling city below. It was a beautiful day. What about Clayton? I asked. Blacklisted. Word got out in the C-suite circles about how he lost the Sterling account. No reputable firm will touch him. I think he's doing consulting for some minor startup in Ohio now. Justice is sweet, I murmured. That it is. Enjoy the check, Ivy. You earned every penny of it. I hung up the phone. On my desk sat a beautiful bouquet of white orchids, a congratulatory gift from Evelyn Sterling for the official launch of the firm. Next to it was a stack of new client portfolios, former clients from Clayton's company who had tracked me down, begging me to take them on once they realized my old department had devolved into an incompetent mess. Milo and Sienna had reached out to me on LinkedIn a month ago, sending pathetic, groveling apologies, asking if I was hiring at my new firm. I hadn't even bothered to reply. I just blocked them. They had made their bed in the toxic mud. They could lie in it. I grabbed my tablet and walked out into the main bullpen of my firm. My small, dedicated team looked up, smiling. There were no leering eyes, no whispers, no toxic jokes. Just professionals ready to do the work. All right, everyone, I said, my voice clear and confident, my back standing straight. Let's make some money.